Raising children is one of the toughest but most fulfilling jobs in the world, of which most new parents become anxious about, especially most first-time mothers feel the least prepared for the task ahead. It is a man and a woman that bring children into the world. However, between both parents, the mother becomes the first point of contact for the child or children from the day of conception till the 9th month when the child is safely delivered and throughout the life stages of the child. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child defines a child as a human being below the age of 18 years unless under the law applicable to the child, majority is attained earlier.
Na asede ene se wodi akola na be wi ase no wo be hwe se na sitena ebesiye ni school komo wo be hwe se wodi ni bedum pempen so a ono ankasa ebetimi agina ne nan so na me so se o Kristo ni ba no metete me ba wo Kristo mu a kire no Bible mu senia oya ebesi ni ye daachi.
As scripture says, God gave a caveat why he wanted to bless Abraham. He said, Abraham, I will bless you because. So the emphasis was on because you will teach your offspring and your servant my word. So the reason why God is not blessing us is that we are not teaching our children and our offspring the principles of life. And when you teach the children the principles of life, God will intend blessing you.
Ewu ya ba se oba na titi ba oba wo fieye oba tanim de ni ba bedi oba na nyim busum kron oba na nyim busum kron oba na titi akwala oba nya fie ni fie ye basa fie sei nti oba de oba tan.
As a mother, the role is very important because without your mother you won't be brought up as to where you are supposed to move to a level that you become mature as a person to stand on your own. So your mother is needed to be around you, guide you, train you as to how to become a responsible adult, and then to contribute to nation's development.
My friend Titiano, send your betty abofra with you. I was a woman of a friend who said, Penny way or your penny, into the casa me power chow. And yet, adia penny becase, acoladia we, and yet, also shia bibi, if you or mamma or papa home. Or Cassan Quaha, and you can't say walk. By dear way, I was so yet. Would you need the Ebama mamma or papa, any abonti sunny?
Who can be described as a child? A child, broadly speaking, is somebody looking at a baby, is totally helpless. A child needs care. A child needs attention. A child, as it were, demands attention every second because the child is helpless. We've all been children before. When we cast our minds back, our childhood days, we depended totally on people, especially our mothers, because they were the first point of call. And having grown up in the womb, there is some attachment. There is some attachment. If you don't eat well as a mother, the child will suck everything from you. And she will lack things. God in his own wisdom made it so that we learn one fact of life. That in life, one can never be alone. Yes, some may argue about the statement I've just made, but you need somebody No matter who you are, you need somebody. So a child needs somebody all the time. What does a child need? A child needs attention, love, commitment, sacrifice. A child needs sacrifices, although the child will not see it, but what the mother does will bring that about. Attention. The eyes should be on the child all the time. Even when you are asleep, from time to time you have to check on the child. Whatever you do, you should have the child at the back of your mind. Thank God for telephones now. You can always call to check on the child, even if you are not there. And children of today are so intelligent, they can even receive calls and talk on phones. We have, as it were, gone into some rules of the mother. A mother, very loving, be prepared to give your all, even if you have to sell the cloth you have. You have to sell it just to get the resources to make a child comfortable. Because if we do not meet the needs, not the wants, if we do not meet the needs of the child, we are all different. It may affect the child psychologically, emotionally, sometimes physically. You see the child losing a lot of weight. Anybody sees the child and the person will ask, what is wrong with this child? There is something happening on the inside of this child. What I always tell people is this: if you feel pain in your mouth or on your nose, your ear, your face, you will see or feel it. But inside your body, the organs inside your body, by the time you see them, many things would have gone wrong. So we should be very, very careful, with all respect. We should be careful the way we treat these children. Teach them, I know you have wants, but the needs have to be met. And you don't always give the child what he or she asks for when he or she wants it. Training is very broad. You have to teach the child that you can't always get what you want when you want it, but when it is available. But in this, communication is very vital. Let the child know, oh my dear, you know, I've seen you really need this, but I don't have enough money. Please bear with me. I love you. Give her a warm embrace or him a warm embrace. I love you. Give me a little time. Even if you have it, hold back a bit for the child to learn this vital lesson in life. You will then be preparing the child for tomorrow, and he or she will be able to stand whatever comes her way.
I strongly believe that training of the child really starts from the womb. Why do I say that? It is because the child in the womb is able to understand you depending on what you do to that baby. Sometimes you feel the baby kicking loudly, and then you put your hands there. Hello, Prince Charming. Mommy is suffering. Can you please keep quiet? You'll be amazed that that child will really listen to what you are saying. Or when there is daddy in the house, you let daddy put his hand on the stomach, or as we will say, the womb. And then you say, daddy is here, kick and let us hear. The child will kick. You try it. And it's also good that you let the child listen to music whilst in utero. Relax.
put on some music and then tell your son or your daughter, this music goes out to you. I want the two of us to dance to this music. And you'll be surprised that the child will kick. If you treat a child that way, the child comes out with love. And when the child is born also, during breastfeeding times, if the child accidentally uses his gum to press on the nipple too hard, you say, oh, this is painful, stop it. You don't need to beat the child. The way you say it with love will let the child stop. And anytime the child does it, you talk about it, the child will stop. So it's not just a matter of shouting on children. And then when it comes to the children growing up, you don't need to shout on the children. You see, as parents, we do that a lot of times out of frustration, but it sends wrong signals to the children. If the child is doing something wrong, you can call the child, Mommy, do you know that this thing that you did is very bad? Should I say she? The moment you say that, the child will like, I'm sorry. You can see it all written on the child's face. But when you shout on the child, insult the child, tell her all sorts of things, you know, the child grows with that mentality that after all, I'm useless. After all, nobody cares about me. So the child also behaves in that way. It is possible to have a family with love, and it starts right from childhood. And this takes us to motherhood. You understand? When we talk about motherhood, we are not talking about people who have given birth alone. A mother is somebody who nurtures. You understand? You bring up the child. That is motherhood. Mothering is a very joyful experience. It's a way of making sure that your child conforms to the standards you want that child to conform to in love. So the way you ensure your child is fed in the morning, the child is kept clean, the way you ensure that the child's teeth is brushed, I mean that love with which you do things for the child is what we call motherhood. You need to have some kind of empathy for your child. Fit into the child's shoes. You know, children also have their own stress. They also have their own stress. You think, why do children cry when you are leaving them the first time they are going to school? It is the fears that they can't voice out that makes them cry. Children show anger. Children have emotions just like adults. But a good mother is able to know the child's emotions and then help the child throughout the emotions. They are learning at that stage, and it is a good mother who will help the child to form the good habits.
As children grow, they go through progressive developmental stages from birth into adulthood. Environmental, genetic, and cultural factors can affect the progressive development of children from one stage to another. All these changes become overwhelming and difficult for children to understand and cope with.
Mothers play very important roles in child upbringing. Mothers serve as a first point of contact for children, even when the mother is pregnant. When the child is born, the mother is the first person to hold that child and show him or her to the world. And the mother is the one that instills a whole lot of values into that child. Even though fathers are very important in child upbringing, mother's role is very, very extra important, because the child learns to trust the world through the mother, because the child is close to the mother. After being in the mother's womb for 9 months, the child has had that bonding with the mother, and whatever the child wants to look at something, the child will look at the mother face as projecting that mother through the world and seeing the world through that mother. So mothers stand the chance to instill every value that they have or they feel important into the child. That is the reason why Hannah in the Bible will put certain values in his son Samuel. to the extent that when they were evil around Samuel, he was able to stand and not yield to anything of that nature. Even going to the Bible again, Moses, even though he was in the king's palace, the training and what the mother has taught him was what he was practicing, and that puts a lot of onus on the mother, that whatever you are able to put in the child will go up and grow up and be able to practice those values. Mothers are very important as teachers to their children. They are the ones that build cognitive values in their children. Mothers are able to lead a child and balance their emotions, so that when the children grow up, even when they are genetically imbalanced, that they are prone to anxiety or other conditions, mothers shaping of these children make them balanced in life. So it's very important that mothers play their God-given roles in children's life. When we see children who are dysfunctional and they are behaving in a way that is not appropriate in their community or wherever they are living, we can also attribute a bit of it to mothers, because mothers are supposed to shape children up from childhood. Whether the mother has gone to school or had education or not, they have that natural ability that is God-given to shape children up the way they should be able to fit in any society, so that the mother figure is always remembered. A lot of research has shown that children that grow up with mothers are the ones that are very balanced generally. So everything we do in life shape us either negatively or positively. Our environment, our nature. Nigerians will say nature and nature. So our genetic formation abilities, our environment, our exposure to whatever also shape us in different ways. In psychology, or generally we call it ecological theory. So our ecological theory modify our behavior in so many ways. But in all this, mothers are the ones that moderate us generally, especially in children as we grow through the developmental stages and from childhood to adulthood. So it is important that we know the environment that we are and what shapes us, and it's very important for mothers to know that and to work. Mothers have been doing very well. When you look around, even in Ghana, you see that mothers brought a lot of people up differently, and people through mothers have achieved very high heights. You look at even our parliament, you go back and look at their mothers. Who are the mothers who brought them up? They went through various communities, and the way the mothers shape them, they are able to reach where they are. The mothers that might not have even attained educational values or anything economic or anything, but they have been able to bring up children to the extent that they have become parliamentarians, they have become speakers of parliament, and even presidents. We look at a few presidents that we have, and we have gone for in Ghana. We can go back. I think it would be interesting to go and look at who are their mothers, what have they contributed towards their lives. I can just see that, or read that our current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, his father was a president, and because of that value, what he saw in the father, he aspired to be a president, in which he achieved. Our former president, John Mahama, I'm sure the mother didn't have much education, but he was able to bring him up to the extent that he realized he has to go to a certain level. And so for so many people, and the ministers, various ministers, they went through a certain level of training that was imparted by their mothers. In our shaping by our mothers, what we have as individuals, what our community gives to us, It also inform or shape what we are in life. You see people going to school together through class 1 through to maybe secondary school, but they have different paths because of what was imparted into them and their genetic formation. People climb the ladder, others fall off. People are exposed to so many things, but they are affected differently. That is nature and nurture. And mothers are the big or key moderators. So it's important to have mothers, or mothers who see to the upbringing of children and to make sure that they reach the heights that society expect them to be. That's the children themselves, the family, the community, and the nation as the large. And now the world is a global village. So the world at large, it will all depend on the shaping of mothers. And so the role of mother is important in shaping up children. And whether the child will turn out to be good or no good, mothers can do something about it with prayer to God and bringing them up in the way of God. In the case of President Mahama, his father was a minister, right? That might also motivated him to become a president. For our former leaders, Tajebi Dankwa, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our former UN General Secretary Kofi Annan, former President Rawlings, all our leaders, both present and past, were brought up by good and great mothers. And I believe that might have brought them to that, height. And the role of mothers are very important in every aspect of the child. And it's important for us mothers to recognize and instill that into our children. And you will go the highest we can ever think of.
Training up children is lovely, but a very difficult task. Very difficult. So children are a gift from God. And one of the difficulty we have is that as a gift, we need to go to the source or the giver to ask him how he wants us to train the gift he has given us. Our inability to go to God and ask him for wisdom to train our children is a difficulty. And as parents, I will encourage all of us to go back to God and ask him how well we can train up the gifts he has given to us. More so, training up children, both parents are needed. The mother is always the first point of contact. When the mother is knowledgeable, she knows what to do. Training up the child becomes a bit easier. So mothers are supposed to learn the various stages of the developmental process of the child, so that when they know, they can train up these children in that way. Another difficulty is mothers or parents with children with special needs. You go through this 9 months journey and come back with a child who is visually impaired, dumb, autism. What do? Some parents run away from their children, and those who keep these children, it is not easy. You have a child who cannot put his or her neck together, and this is how the child behaves. It's difficult. And mothers especially will have to sell whatever they have, lose their jobs for the upkeep of such ones. It's difficult. Sometimes living in a rented house, you have to leave. You become the scorn of the home. You can't take trotro with such a child. You need to go by taxi. You don't have the money to fund these things. Some of us leave our rented homes and get to the family houses. Some of us are called names. Difficulty in raising up these children. But we need to learn, especially with mothers with such children. There is help out there. There's help out there. Let us get help. Let us get knowledge in raising up such children. When engaging themselves in social vices. You see, don't tell your child to do what you don't do. Children learn by example. As parents, like I said, parental role is difficult. Once you decide to engage yourself as a parent, there are a lot of things you used to do. You cannot do them anymore because your children are looking up to you. And to the mother, who is more closer to the children at home and to the child. Please, your children are looking up to you. Good example is the key. Don't just talk. Walk your talk, and they will follow after what you do and what you say.
In bringing up children, it is very, very important to note that both parents are responsible. However, a greater portion of the work depends on the mothers. Yes, from the day of conception, the mother has to carry the child to term. During this period, there is the bonding process, where the child feels the mother's actions and the mother responds. So the child will shake, the mama will touch it and say, "Oh baby, how are you today? Yes, I'm taking you out, or I'm reading a story for you." Yes, you carry the child and the child comes out. Who is the first teacher of the child? It is the mother, and the mother teaches the child how to eat, because you need to be breastfed. The child learns to develop friendship with the mother. At this level, development is taking place because physically there is contact. The needs of the child physically are being provided for, and then the emotional aspect too is developing. You have the cognitive, the effective communication that builds the bond faster. Yes, we can say that bringing up children, mothers have different goals depending on their cultural background, the kind of objective they have for bringing up the child. But there is one common thing. Every mother wants their child to survive and succeed in life, to find happiness, and they show their child love. So in bringing up the children, I will say that it calls for sacrifice, because if you do not sacrifice, you cannot be an effective mother. So show the child love, sacrifice for the child. You provide the physical, emotional, you have the social, and all the needs the child has, so that they will feel loved, they will feel the warmth of a mother. And when the child is growing and wants to have fun and is used to the environment that the mother has provided, they tell you mama, then they open up their arms, coming to you, and you say, "Tata, come, take your first step, mommy is here with you." And it is a very, very wonderful moment. Mommy is part of the child's life, the whole of the journey of life. Yes, mothers are there. Now your child has started preschool, and that is where we come in as preschool experts. What do we expect of the mother? We expect an upbringing that complements the efforts of the school. Like you bring your child in, you need to communicate effectively with the school, and then know what happens in the school, and then give feedback to the school about what happens with your child at home. You should be able to provide the needs of the child, like caring for the child in every sense of the word. You should also be mindful of the environment at home, because it helps to build or unbuild the child's development process. We believe in positive reinforcement. We believe in positive holistic development that helps the child to be ready for life and for whatever life brings their way. Bring up your child to be able to survive and thrive. Accept others. Know our values as Ghanaians. You know, we come from various backgrounds. Some are Ghan, some are not from Dagmanis and many others. But you should know that what is acceptable in one culture is not acceptable in the other. So you should do your best to know your culture and then let the child know about it. Speak your local language with the child. When you wake up in the morning, look at your child, smile and say, "My child, I love you." Say it in your local language. Engage the child to know their issues. Sometimes we assume children don't have worries. They do. So find out with them how their day went, how your day went. You can communicate. Then you share the high moments. If it's a joyous report, you all hug yourself, smile, and say, "Yes, I'm proud of you." If it is something that the child feels down about and needs motivation, a mother will come in and say, "Oh, I know life is not all that rosy, but be rest assured that mommy is here with you all the way through." Motivate your child. Empower your child to be confident in life. Empower your child to develop the curiosity that will spark the research. Empower your child to focus on what has to be done. Empower your child to become a responsible and happy adult. Bringing up children, for me, it's a very challenging task. The sacrifices involved, they need to be able to shape the child to grow and become a responsible adult. All those things are something that comes with a price to pay. What price have you paid as a mother? Some mothers have to go to the extent of quitting their jobs to have enough time for their children. Yes, mothers have to make sure that emotionally the child is developing positively, because if the emotional intelligence is challenged, then you can have a child who is a pilot, doctor, whatever, but emotionally bankrupt. And we are looking at where mothers come in to build the emotional needs of the child. And then I would say that much as the challenges are there at every stage, when they are very young, 0 to 2, the challenge is different, because there they cannot express using words, so they will be crying and you have to find out exactly why the child is crying. Sometimes to the extent of taking the child to the doctor, and the doctor will tell you, "Oh, it is nothing. Just go back home and give breast milk, the child will be well." Yes, it is very challenging, but I'll say it's a privilege, because if it is well done, you find joy. And when you are being celebrated, you feel, "Yes, I have accomplished God's given task and I'm able to take the reward of my children appreciating me." But at school, children come from various backgrounds, and based on what the parents believe in, have exposed the child to, they behave differently. You know, with some children, what they do is they flow along with adult interactions. So sometimes you are conversing and you feel the child is not listening. They listen, pick up the vocabularies that will make you wonder where they heard it from, and bring it into the schools. And sometimes too, some children love to pick snacks and other things from their friends. For me, with such children, I really am interested in finding out why they are doing what they are doing, if there is the need to talk to the parents so they could provide all the needs for the child the best way they can, for the child to feel that, "Yes, I don't have a lack of all my needs, not the wants." So when children come, they exhibit all those traits. There's one thing too that we must watch out for. Children come to school and sometimes they put up a different behavior. At home, they do something different. In the school, they are somebody else, and you'll be wondering, my child is not like that. I believe this issue can be addressed if you frequently visit your child's school to find out what is happening there and know how to strategize to manage the child's development process. I would say that effective communication between the school and the home help children to set up If they know that mother will come and ask, was I in school? Mother will ask the teacher, oh, how was today? Was there any homework? The child will know that, oh, if I don't do it, mommy will find out. Sometimes too, they hide things in their bags. So as a mother, you should be able to look into their bags to find out stuff in there. You may be shocked. They may be having friends' items and gifts from friends and other things. In that instance, you can have a discussion with the child. Let them know the value of not accepting gifts from people who are not working or who are not ready to give gifts. And let them appreciate the fact that what you have is yours. So they should love what they have. Be content with what you have provided for them, so that they will not go out begging for gifts and receiving things that are not supposed to be brought home. Yes, so at school, all we want is for you as a mother to partner us in every sense of the word to grow and develop this precious gift from God. That is the children, holistically, for them to become useful to themselves, to society, to Ghana, and to the entire world.
Ability to guide and monitor their children as they grow up. There is the need for the mother, who is the first point of call for the child, to be there to guide the child or children through the various developmental phases of the life of the child.
There are hosts of risk factors that influence drug abuse and addiction, especially in the youth. The absence of mothers in general in the home, that is broken home, peer pressure, the fact that you are a male, the male children are vulnerable to drug addiction, the communities that drugs are peddled or used, parent drug use, availability of drug in the family, and the parents' inability to shape up children in the way they should go. There are a number of them. There are a number of genetic factors that children, sometimes their genetic abilities also influence their drug use. For instance, some children naturally will carry certain diseases in their gene, and that influence the ability to cope with certain situations. Some are anxiety, some are other conditions, and this is not their doing, and it's because of their genetic predisposition to certain conditions and their inability to learn in school, and can also influence them to use drug. There are a number of things that cause people to use drug, especially among the youth. When they reach teenage and they are not able to develop themselves, children are like blank slates to start with. They pick things from parents, morals, values, and everything. And when that is not well done, especially from mothers, parents generally, or from mothers, when that is not done and they get to teenage, they are ready. That's the stage that they want to discover the world. And in discovering the world, the friends and peers are able to push things into them, and that's influence them, and they get into drug addiction. Drug addiction affect them also in their inability to learn, to be able to cope with academic work, and that will take them into a different level, and that's will also frustrate them. So if you are not able to go through your education, they get into what is you can call psychologically that's depression, stress, anxiety, and all those affect them in general. And when that happens, drug addiction become a vicious cycle, and they go into it, they come out, they go into it because they are not purpose driven for anything. So the role of mother is very important here again, for children not to go into drug addiction, for children to stay out, to learn and become something to themselves and to their family and to society and the world at large. Drug addiction on the individual affects the progression in life in totality. On the family, it affects resources and the shame that it brings to the family. On the nation, it affects human resource. economic resource, and the stress on the the health facilities. Individuals that should be somewhere working, productive, they become unproductive at the various rehabilitation or health facilities, which also affects the nation in general. And there should be something to be done about it, and mothers can also help support us by shaping up children so that they don't get to that stage that they find themselves into drug abuse, addiction, and ending up being unproductive to themselves, the family, and the nation. This is the reason why women and mothers must be empowered by all in our society, so that the impact of women can be felt and it can affect everyone positively in every aspect of our life, even from the presidency to the least in our society. It is important that mothers will listen to their children, engage them, involve them. Children are not like tabula rasas. They are not blank slates. They are not just there that you impose on them and put, or they are blank that you put everything into them. No, they have their God-given abilities. What they need is guidance. What they need is monitoring. And mothers play this role by engaging children, sharing ideas with them. Sometimes it will amaze you. When you engage children, you will see that they have a lot in them that they can give you. And when we engage them as mothers, we learn a lot from them whilst imparting them with our knowledge. So it's very important that as mothers, we listen to children, pick their ideas, and when we get them involved in whatever we are doing for their good, they appreciate it better and they go along with it because they feel respected, they feel involved. Anyone that is taken out of decision making and supposed to implement that decision find it difficult. But when the person is involved in that decision making and is implementing it, it's very easy to implement. This is what psychology explains. For us psychologists, we believe in a number of theories. We believe that the child's cognitive abilities, their emotions, their thoughts, their belief, and their number of things need to be shaped by parents. And these things help them when it's done properly. It helps them in future, and it gives them their confidence for them to carry themselves to do a number of things. Mothers have a role in shaping up children, in bringing out all these qualities in them for them to be able to carry out what they are made to be. At times, children and mothers may disagree and agree. It is the duty of the mother to be able to bring the children together, agree with them and disagree, so that you come back to that shaping authority that you have to influence on them.
Okay, well, giving you a personal example as a mother, I have lots of children I didn't mother. I have my own children, but I have lots of children I didn't mother. All it takes is to show them love, know their needs, and then be there at the right time. Thinking through with them, helping them out. I remember last year Mother's Day, I had a surprise. It was from one of such children, my church member. He's my son. I'll call him my son, he calls me mommy, and we relate as such. You understand? How will this boy go out of his way to talk to a radio station for them to come and surprise me with goods? A lot of goods. It's because of the kind of relationship. He has a mother he could have sent those things to, but because of the way we relate, that got me those things. We don't have children having the same personality traits. We have very stubborn children. We have children with personality problems like autistic children, but we can mother all of them. You need to know what the child likes, what the child doesn't like. And I believe in rewards and sanctions. If the child does something that is good, you reward the child accordingly, not with fizzy drinks, not with sweets. Words alone are enough. or some toy that the child likes very well. If the child misbehaves, you can keep a toy that the child likes very well away for a week or two and let the child understand that this is punishment. Tell the child, I love you very much, but you need to conform to society. You didn't do well, so because of your punishment, this particular toy, you won't play with it for 2 weeks or something of the sort. There are so many ways, and I don't believe in, taking food away from children because they have done something wrong. No, food is a basic need, so you don't need to punish a child with food. Let the child eat. There are other ways. A child may want to visit a friend. You tell them, do you remember you did this and that, and I told you that you are not going to this friend for a number of days. You keep to it. If the child knows that, as for mommy, when she says it, she will do it, she will conform. There are those daring ones, they will dare you, but maintain your stance, and you will be sure that things will go on well. You could also be using Bible stories. When it comes to stubbornness, you can look for a character that was stubborn and then relate it, and then ask the child, so what were all the stubborn things that you did? The child will come out with them and say, so you see, you were just like this person. If the child disobeys, then you talk about disobedience and then ask the child, so what did you do? Having that one-on-one with them, at the end of the day, just make sure you talk to her, listen to her. If you listen to children, you realize that your children are not the children you know. They know things you have not taught them.
According to the Bible English Standard Version of Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, quotes, train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it, unquote. The upbringing of children is crucial to the progress and development of their immediate families, society, and the country at large.
And to the parents who are not Christians, we've all been trained to have morals. Please train your children to the acceptable standards of the society. We have a culture. There are things where we come from we are not allowed to do. A mother, you smoke, and you want your daughter to do what? You tell your daughter, don't smoke. You drink, you get booze. You tell your daughter, don't do this. Please, we all have morals we live by. Let's, especially mothers, because we are closer to our children, the advice is that let us stop certain things. That's why I say it's a responsibility. Let us stop first and train our children to walk after us. By that, we get a good nation, a good community, and a good nation, and all of us win.
Upbringing is a special area of nurturing. When it dries up, it remains the same. That is the mind of a child. The child's mind is like wet cement. Any impression made on it becomes permanent. So we should be very careful in the upbringing of our children. Children are very observant. What they see, what they hear. But the most important thing is what they see you do. What they see you do. So please be very careful. When you are annoyed, please don't talk. You never know the effect of that word or that sentence you utter at that time. You never know the effect it will have on the child throughout his or her lifetime. I always tell people, walk your talk. Walk your talk. Don't say don't do what I do, but do what I say. So you must live right as a mother in the upbringing of the child. When a child goes wrong, you shouldn't first beat the child. There must be a reason. Find out why he or she behaved in that particular way. Patiently do it. You see, when we talk, the tone we use, our body language, they show or they have an effect on whoever watches or listens to us. So please, let's be very careful.
Looking at child psychology and motherhood, you realize that it helps in many ways to ensure that the child is brought up a certain way that will make them very, very developed in every aspect of life. So child psychologists focus on developing the whole child based on the environment that is provided for the child. As a mother, I will say that you should be able to read around it if possible to find out which aspects of child psychology will apply in your situation. For me, I believe in mirroring, where the child will see themselves in you. So in child psychology, whatever you want the child to do, you should also exhibit those traits. So I will say that if the child is in your care and everything is going well, congratulations. However, there are few instances where you need to call for help. If the child is behaving in a manner that you feel a psychologist should be invited or the child should go for counseling, please do not hesitate, because child psychologists play a strategic role in undoing the negatives and then trying to lead the child into the positive realms of life.
So I'll take this opportunity to wish everybody in the health sector a happy Mother's Day. You know, we are caring for babies, big babies, small babies, every kind of baby. They are not our children. We are caring for them. We are mothering them on the wards. Happy Mother's Day, all health workers. And I want to wish a special group Happy Mother's Day. There are some men, they will put the baby on their back with a cloth like the women do. They will bath the baby. They will feed the baby. They will do everything for the baby. So happy Mother's Day to all such men. And I want to take this opportunity to wish my own cousin, James Amate Apeku, alias Papate, happy Mother's Day from Zoe Chandi.
On a special day like this, I wish mothers a happy Mother's Day, especially to mothers who have children with special needs. It is difficult. I say it is difficult. We understand your cry. We understand you. To you, who a child cannot get up to and say, Mommy, happy Mother's Day, because your son or daughter cannot talk. To such we say, happy Mother's Day. God sees your tears. God hears your cry. And He will answer you the day you have no expectation of. God bless you, mothers.
Yo, I'll say a very happy Mother's Day to all mothers. Yes, you are gallant heroes and sheroes. I said heroes because there are a few fathers who are also playing the role of mothers very well. We salute you. And we will say that this is a privilege to add to the world's population a very responsible adult. Happy Mother's Day. And mommy, wherever you are, I wish you happy Mother's Day. God richly bless you. We really appreciate everything you have done in our lives.
On this occasion, I wish every gallant mother a happy Mother's Day. May you continue to do the great work you've been doing for our children and Mother Ghana. God bless us all. Happy Mother's Day to us all.
We are celebrating Mother's Day. So I wish all mothers the best of Mother's Days they've ever celebrated. And please, remain the sweetest mother ever on planet Earth. It is not only your biological children who are your children or who you should mother. Every child deserves to be loved or mothered. Be the mother to somebody's child, and God will richly bless you. Happy Mother's Day.
Child psychologists advise parents to boost the self-esteem of their children in the course of their upbringing and training. Parents to set limits and be consistent with the discipline of their children. Parents to make time for their children. Parents to be good role models to their children. Parents to make communication a priority between them and their children. Parents should show unconditional love to their children and reward children who do good.